So, Shovel. Ooh, opponent's gonna be digging. I know. Horrible jokes. This is what you show up for, ladies and gentlemen. You don't come here for decks. You can find a nice, good, big deck anywhere. You come here for the solid jokes. What's up, everybody? My name's Chance, and today we're going to be diving into a whole new kind of deck. But of course, that's what we do every day. So, are you ready for the Brew King to do his thing? Are you ready for this deck to be explained? Anyways, we're diving into the only ones today, and I know it sounds like an ominous name, and the first card you see when you pull up is Arc Fiends, this little 1/1 lifelinker human cleric that can turn into a 5/5 demon. So what indication is this on the deck we're going to be playing today? Well, it's actually the only indication you really need. We're playing an only 1/1 deck. What? That's kind of crazy, right? So we have Thieves Guild, Arc Fiend, Speaker, Selfless, Owlslit, all these creatures that are only, well, 1 power and 1 toughness. I actually had a challenge now. Well, I do only decks, so only sorceries, only instances, only, you know, creatures, not so interesting, but only enchantments, only flash, only blah, 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 blah. So if you haven't seen them, make sure you subscribe to the channel first off and go back and check out the other videos. Secondly, finish this video all the way through because I'm gonna tell you now, we have some exciting matches coming up with these 1/1 creatures, and you'll be surprised, honestly. The amount of power that can come from such low power in the beginning, it's insane actually. The meta we have going now with Core Blade Masters, with Luminarch Aspirants, with Fearless Fledglings, all of these cheap tiny creatures that can get oh so very big if you have the right cards alongside them. So today's only challenge is only 1/1 creatures, and I know it sounds a little daunting. You're like, Chance, how are you gonna battle these mono red Embercleave decks? How are you gonna battle these Demir Rogue Flash decks? How are you gonna battle all this kind of stuff? Well, it's pretty simple actually. So starting out, I have these categories separated down here in the 1 mana, and I know you'll probably notice these are all 1 mana. Why do we have it in 2 categories? Well, because if you don't, you actually have to end up scrolling down with this deck because it's how many you have. So we have our non-creature and our creature. Now I know Falmir is a creature, but it's also a non-creature, so kind of goes in this list as well. And our non-creature, for the 1-drop slots, we have 4 copies of Village Rites. This helps keeps us stocked on all of our creatures and, well, non-creatures, right? Next up, we have 2 copies of Falmir Knight. Again, pay 3 mana, draw a card, lose 1 life. It's kind of costly, but it's good when you need it, right? On the flip side of that, you got a 1/1 Death Toucher, great defender. 3 copies of Bloodchief's Thirst, can deal with creatures, can deal with planeswalkers, and 2 copies of Fight as One. We have humans, we have non-humans. It is a fantastic card, both offensively and defensively. I have, obviously, the indestructibility is nice because you can attack and then your creature won't die and the opponent's will. And defensively, you know, same regards, right? Not to mention the +1/+1 is just kind of a nice caveat, and you never know when that 2 damage may be all you need, essentially. So starting out with the creatures, we have 3 copies of Owlslit of Loft's Bounty. Not only is this a lifelinker that you can boost up with your Luminarch Aspirant, which we mentioned earlier, it's also a creature that you can sacrifice for 1 mana and give protection to a creature that you may have already built up, such as a Speaker of the Heavens, right? 3 copies of Selfless Savior. It's pretty self-explanatory. Selfless Savior is going to sacrifice itself and give one of your other creatures indestructible. Speaker of the Heavens is oftentimes going to be that creature that you try to carry through your whole team with, right? So 1 mana, 1/1 with Vigilance and Lifelink. You build this up with Luminarch, it's awesome. You build this up with, you know, Maul of the Skyclaves, it's awesome. If you can get to 27 life, it's awesome. Essentially, you want to be running 4 copies of this card in your deck. 2 copies of Arc Fiend's Vessel. It's kind of like Speaker, but not as good, as it only creates 1 creature and it kind of has an if-then kind of clause to it. But it is a 1/1 lifelinker that you can build up and gain lots of life off of. You can use Village Rites and not feel too bad about it. And we do have some Malakir Rebirth in the deck, so if you manage to have an Arc Fiend's Vessel down and then you can use Malakir Rebirth and the Arc Fiend's Vessel dies, then you do get the 5/5 back, which is, you know, it happens more so than what you would actually think, right? Anyways, 3 copies of Thieves Guild Enforcer. This isn't a Rogues deck, this is just a 1/1 deck, so if they happen to have 8 cards or whatever in their graveyard, cool beans, and this goes up to a 3/2 with Death Touch and has Flash for 1 mana, which is pretty good. Starts out as a 1/1, so I don't consider it cheating, okay? lay off. 2 copies of Fearless Fledgling. Honestly, I feel like this little guy should be increased. You know, maybe drop a core, add a Fearless. But that's neither here nor there. This little bird griffin thing can certainly carry your deck. Whenever a land enters battlefield under your control, put a +1/+1 counter, and it gains flying. So it gets bigger and it gains evasion, which is insane given you have things like Fable Passage, which allow it to gain 2 counters in a turn. Of course, you add your Luminarch Aspirants on that as well. You're gaining 3-4 counters in a turn, you know, and of course it has flying, so it's evasive. It's really good at just swinging in every single turn and dealing damage, and then you just leave things like Arcfiends back to chum block, right? Anyways, 2 copies of Glass Casket for some removal on our opponent's creature, because obviously they're going to be playing stuff just as well as we are. 3 copies of Core Blade Master, 1/1 with Double Strike. Again, Luminarch Aspirant starts building this up. Now it's a 2/2 with Double Strike. Now it's a 3/3 with Double Strike. It can get ridiculously big, ridiculously fast. I keep talking about this card, but I haven't exactly said what it does yet. So if you've been living under a rock for all of Zendikar Rising and you don't know what this is, 2 mana 1/1 at the beginning of combat in your turn, put a +1/+1 counter on a target creature you control. Seems pretty simple, but man, oh man, is it so powerful, especially as I mentioned before, when you couple it with the Blade Master Speaker, pretty much any of that stuff, right? If that wasn't enough, we also have 3 copies of Maul of the Skyclaves. Even if you attach this to the Fearless, it's still pretty good because it means that it's guaranteed going to have flying every turn, whether you have land or not. It's getting bigger every single turn, right? And then, of course, you're getting to attack. Obviously, I like for Maul to either go onto the Blade Master, which has a double strike and just is obviously pretty good, or onto the Speaker, which has Vigilance and Lifelink, so you can defend, attack, have first strike on all of that stuff, and pretty much dominate the board, right? Over here in the flip-floppy lands, we do have Malakir Rebirth, as I mentioned before. It's not fantastic on Fearless, as you do lose all the counters, but at least you get the creature back. It works really good with Arcfiend's Vessel. It works really good with Speaker of the Heavens. It works okay with Thieves Guild, right? If you use it on your Thieves Guild and that manages to put them to the 8-card limit, then there is something to be said about that. But outside of that, you know, it is what it is. Anyways, Kabira Takedown is actually some pretty good removal, given you have a ton of 1/1s in the deck. It's, well, going to be used to take out things like Annex, Soaring Thought Thieves, your opponent's, what's it called? Thieves Guild Enforcers, right? Because the meta is actually full of very low health creatures right now, which is a little strange. Anyways, then we have Makindi Stampede, which can also come down as land. Creatures you control get +2/+2. It's a great anthem. You have a lot of small creatures. You build them up. They swing in. Anyways, you're saying, Chance, this deck doesn't seem that interesting. You just got a lot of little creatures. You build them up and blah, blah, blah. What's interesting about this deck is because we're only playing these 1/1 creatures, because our average mana cost is 1.5, we only have 14 lands in the deck. 14 of these little guys over here. Outside of that, we do have 6 in means of the flip-floppy, right? So altogether, we have 20. Which is as per the standard for an aggro deck, right? But as we're playing best of 1, as we only have these 1 and 2 drops, really, we do have Maul. It works. It really, really works. I'm here to tell you now, ladies and gentlemen, we picked up games today. They were, I won't say easily dealt with, because I won't, like, saying a game of Magic was easy is kind of an insult to your opponent, right? But it was definitely a fun and fair match, all right? Fun deck. If you're looking for an only challenge that is one that you can actually tweak outside of just this Orzhov deck that I have, there's red that has good stuff, there's green that has good stuff, blue even has good stuff, right? So all the colors offer you something in this challenge, and I do encourage you, if you're enjoying this only challenge, go out, build your deck, come back, leave it in the comment section and say, hey, this is what I built and I think it may be better, or I think it may be funner or more fun, whatever, you know? Join in the challenge, see if you can build a better deck, see if you can build a more fun deck, a more functionable deck, right? A more competitive deck. Do it, build it your way, make it your thing, and return. Let me see what you got. Anyways, without further ado, we're going to see how this deck does for me, for us, today, right now. We'll keep this hand. We have 3 lands in hand, which is fine. We got some removal. We have the Maul to potentially send the Core Blade Master into the sky, as well as give it double strike, which already has double strike, so I guess it's not giving itself double strike. But you get the point. It's double strike on a flyer. It's cool beans. Good stuff. It's turn 3, potentially 6 damage in the skies kind of stuff. So say potentially because we need to have untapped mana on turn 3 specifically. Oh, all right. Well, I was just talking about it, and I'm not gonna turn it away after having spoke so well of it. So one thing I really like with this deck is the fact that the Luminarch Aspirin is 1/1, and it has a tendency to just build. Oh no, is it a mono red Andy? I didn't really pay attention. I was talking last game about how you gotta pay attention to stuff. I just feel like Core is gonna die if we send it out. It's a Castle Embereth, it's a mountain. You know what? Maybe I just play Thieves Guild. Haha, joke's on you. No Bone Crusher to my creatures. It's definitely a Bone Crusher. Or a Shock. One of the two. But they don't play it either way, so I'm happy about it. It's wasted mana on their turn. And, hopefully... Annex. Alright, I'm fine. I'm cool. All good. Annex. Now, Blood Chiefs won't work on Annex. What is our play here? Maul onto Thief does make it big enough to both block Annex and not die to Bone Crusher. My biggest concern is the Bone Crusher here, obviously. I think we might actually just play Kabira down as a land. Even though it is some really good removal. They're definitely going to Bone Crusher whatever I play here. So unless I play Maul, Thieves Guild is dying. Let's let them know that we're thinking. Blood Chiefs absolutely won't work. Luminarch won't do anything other than maybe get herself targeted. I think we got to go with... Oh, we've already played a land this turn. Okay, well cool. Then I'll have to get rid of you, Kabira. Silly goose. Let's just slam a jam a U down on the Thieves Guild. And this way, again, their giant can't swing or can't destroy it, and we can block against their Annex. So, I think that was the best play there. Again, if we play Core, probably gets bolted. All right, you know, they may use 2 Bone Crusher Giants, in which case, cool beans. Bone Crusher and a Shock. All right. Using 3 mana to remove 4 mana's value worth, that's value for them. Furor on the Annex makes that a little bit harder to take out, but we do have the Core Blade Master, which means if we get this down as a land, as I was trying to do last turn, and we get Core down, on the next turn we can put them all on Core, and Core will have Double Strike, which means it should be able to deal with the Annex, especially if we follow it up with a Luminarch Aspirin or 2. And on this turn, we'll just have to get down Core and use Fight as 1 more than likely to protect it, right? So let's see. Of course, we could just use the Luminarch Aspirants, like both of them on the next turn, build up the Core. We won't have to equip them all. I think it equates to the same damage, right? But one way we're getting more creatures down, so that should be better. Anyways, do I do this now or later? Let's see, I can't send that into the sky. Yeah, I mean now's fine. It's not enough to take out the Annex, almost, but you know, they say close only counts in horseshoes and hand grenades, and well, Blade Master just simply isn't either. Glass Casket's really good though. It's really dope little thing. As much as I don't like the Phoenix, and I don't, I think we can deal with it later if we can just get a flyer in the sky, you know what I mean? So, Luminarch, build up the Core. This will be 4 damage to him. I think we can catch up to him relatively quickly. I think that Bone Crusher is going to come down if they don't have an Embercleave. If they have an Embercleave, we're taking 6 damage on the face here. Blah, blah, blah. Okay, Bone Crusher, and immediately into attack phase. Phoenix hitting us. That's fine. We hit a Fabled. That's really good, actually, because that means that we can use our Blood Chiefs now if/when we want to. Do we want to this turn? You know, I don't know. Because if we put them all on the Core, it goes up to for a 5/5 with Double Strike, which is 10 damage to their face. Right? And that's certainly nothing to sneeze at. But if they have Embercleave, they're definitely wiping us. So that's 4/4. And then bam, 5/5. Even if they have Embercleave, we can fight it, right? We can fight their Embercleave with that. I think we leave it. Hiya. Ours doesn't have Trample, but it's ever growing. Let's hope they don't have Embercleave here. Annex. Alright, Annex is not Embercleave. They will use that Phoenix to block our core, but my plan is... Kabir is pretty good. So we can't play down Luminarch. I was kind of hoping for a land there so we can play Luminarch and Blood Chiefs. It's alright. So Luminarch on the ground right now will build our Blade Master to a 6, which is 12 points of damage. Which means it would need 2 more points. So I could actually use Blood Chiefs to take out Phoenix. But I don't want to do that this turn, right? So I'd want to drop you. Oh no, they got something. They got something to instant speed, and I don't want to know what it is. Alright, well, okay, here's the thing. If they have removal, well, hell, they didn't. What do they have? Oh, proccing the Phoenix. That's it. I was going to say, if they have removal, then I want to save Kabir's takedown for when they use the removal, so I can use this pre the removal, so that way we get the full force. Anyways, we're not going to use Core Blade Master this turn. I really want to use Kabir takedown on their Annex. Like just now. I'm doing it. Before they have a chance to draw into more removal, I think this 3 mana is for their Phoenix. I don't think they have a Bone Crusher. I think they would have pulled it already. Hallelujah. Now they will get 2 Satyrs back from that, but I think 2 Satyrs is definitely worth an Annex. And again, we have this Blood Chief's Thirst in hand to take out that Phoenix come our next turn. Luminarchs build up the Blade Master. They got the Embercleave, didn't they? Good old Embercleave. All right, well, allow this to go through. Cost them 2. Oh no, it's lethal on the Phoenix. Oh, but they didn't play it on the Phoenix. Oh, you silly goose. You had the Castle Emberth still available. You had it on the Phoenix. You just put it on the Phoenix. I think. Let me view the battlefield. Let's see. Put that on there. That's 3/3. Tap that. It's 4/4. It's 8 damage. I don't know how much they did. They didn't do any, right? But I was at 7 life, so I feel like 8 damage. That would have been lethal. Anyways, GG picking up another victory with just 1/1s. That's all it takes. 14 lands and some 1/1s. Wicked Noodle. I like that. I like that a lot. Alright. I'd say these are decent cards. I really like the Fearless Fledgling here. Just because we haven't seen it and I really want to use it, you know? And we got the Selfless and the Owlslit to protect us, so that's really good. I think we're going to go Selfless turn 1 to try and protect the Fearless immediately, you know? Because I'm definitely playing the Fearless turn 2, so... From there, we'll see. I don't really want to use Malakir on a Fearless, as it does lose all of its counters, so it sort of loses size ability. But Malakir onto a Selfless, really good, right? Because before you use the Selfless ability, you can pay the 1 and then get the Selfless back. Anyways, I feel like that didn't need explaining, but it's there. I connected the dots. You know, I will say this. I am the grown man that still does the puzzles on the back of the cereal boxes. I think, you know, if you don't, you're kind of wasting the ink. You know what I mean? They put those puzzles there for you to solve. If you're not solving them, you're wasting good entertainment. So, Shovel. Woohoo. Opponent's going to be digging. I know. Horrible jokes. This is what you show up for, ladies and gentlemen. You don't come here for decks. You can find a nice, good, big deck anywhere. You come here for the solid jokes. Putting a counter on my Selfless? I mean, that makes sense considering you don't really even have to kill it. I'll kill it myself. It's it's a Selfless savior for you. It's a good doggo. Now, we're gonna take the 1 damage if the Shovel wants to swing in. There's no point in blocking that. So go ahead. Yeah, push it. Alright, my turn. Now we got the Fearless and we got the Fabled Passage. It's definitely happening. I'm not playing Malakir before Fabled Passage. Am I playing another Selfless down, though, and leaving mana for a Malakir? Is the question. Or am I playing into the Luminarch Asper? I think I definitely want to go on the Maul sooner rather than later. Right? Like next turn soon. So I think having double Selfless down will be a good thing. Do I need more white mana or more black mana? I will need more black mana if I find blood chiefs, but I think since we have the maul, it's safe. It's a better bet to go for that, right? And I am going to get down another Selfless and have the Malakir Rebirth, so essentially we can just keep this Fearless Fledgling alive forever. Sorta, maybe. Alright, end the turn on that note. Kick it back to him. Oh good, I had this fear that I had been muted through all of that beautiful random shenanery. Basically shit talking or shooting the shit, however you want to say that. Polo Kranis, how you doing? Bro Chacho. My turn. They didn't even attack. You're weak. Alright, that's a little rude. Half me wants to play the Malakir down as a land because it procs the Fearless and blah 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 blah. The other half just says play Luminarch. And the other half says play Maul onto Fearless, play Malakir as well, right? Hit him, clock him for the 6. I'm definitely playing Maul down, like this is happening. Just don't know if I'm playing the Malakir or not. Because I have 2 Selfless, so like how many do I really need? And I also have an Owslet in hand. But does going to 4 mana allow me to do anything? Allows me to play a Maul and an Owslet in the same turn? Maul on the next turn allows me to deal 8. That's 9. That'd have been 10? Oh, I think I could have potentially missed lethal here. Alright, so let's let them know that we're thinking. If I play this down, that goes to 6. That goes to 7. 8, 9, 10. 11? Can I? No, because you can't. Right. Alright, end turn. We don't have enough mana for that. Because we would need 2 additional, right? Or no, we would need to draw. We would have just needed to draw a land on our turn, right? So we did have lethal. All right. We let that happen. We don't sacrifice that because it actually minuses the health on the Polo Kranis. And it may be inconsequential, but I guess we'll see. So I assume they'll swing in here with the Polo Kranis, right? Yeah. We'll take that, go down to 14. They're leaving the Polo Kranis at the 5 so it can attack the Fearless. Oh, Fight as 1 is really, really good for us here. So we can actually go Luminarch, still have mana for Fight as 1. Which is not a bad idea. Or we go Maul onto Selfless, deal 8. But that's kind of a self-destructive play. I like the Luminarch play. This here. No, just you. Yeah, swing in, get him. Down to 10. We also have Fight as 1, which can be used offensively. That's fine. That could put him back to 13 if we need to use the Selfless, but I don't think we will. Like, my thoughts here is that they'll try to remove the Fearless Fledgling instead of trying to remove the Selfless, and then we'll use Fight as 1 to protect Fearless. And then maybe they have 2 removal. Maybe they have 2. Maybe they're counting on us having 2 forms of protection. No, they're just going straight up for the Polo Kranis fight on the Selfless again. Half me almost wants to use Fight as 1 on the Selfless and the Luminarch. Like, just keep that sucker alive. But I know that's the wrong play, right? Like, just give him the health. It's also giving him a card draw, though, is the unfortunate thing. You know what? Yeah. Let's protect it. Target human, target non-human. And if they go to do anything else here, like fight Polo Kranis into something else, then we just sacrifice this. Yeah. So this is fine. They can't fight it into the Luminarch, because it has indestructibility. I think their best bet there may have been to use the Polo Kranis proc on the Fight as 1 to fight Luminarch, so I would have had to sacrifice Selfless in order to protect Luminarch. I know that was a little confusing, but I hope you followed along. So, Questing Beast is going to get in. I think the rest hold back for defense, right? Because we can just straight up beat Polycranus and Selfless this turn, so. Or Polycranus and Shuttle, sorry. English language is difficult. So Thieves Guild coming down at flash speed, not good enough. Alright, well, got my hopes up. If I throw a Maul onto Luminarch, that's 6 plus 4 is 10? It's not quite enough. This is 11, which means we're still off by 1. I think it's far past time we play that Malakir down. Am I playing the Maul down, or am I just playing Auslid potentially for protection? They probably can't finish us on just the Questing Beast. So I could also have Thieves Guild come down, build up Fearless, and I think next turn we can end this out. Alright, so they're down to 4. I know I missed lethal 1 turn ago, something like that. But because of that, now we're in a little bit of a more difficult position. So if we let this fight happen, we gain life, don't we? I feel like we let this happen, but in the same regards, I want to sacrifice this and give this protection from black, or give this protection from black. I guess give this just in case. Alright. So, Questing Beasts can knock us to 4. We still have lethal on board, though. They can't take out Fearless, or rather, they can't with the black spell. I don't know what else it would be. I suppose they could have a flyer. Maybe a Nighthawk Scavenger? I mean, they do have the whole Death Touch thing going on. Doesn't Nighthawk Scavenger have Death Touch? Am I wrong about that? Alright, Polycranus to fight the Selfless Savior. This is going to gain them... three, draw a card. We still have them, though. They would still have to remove the Luminarch. And we still have a Maul, so even that won't be enough. You know what I mean? I don't know. Yeah. I got Snow's idea, man. So, just milled them 2 lands. They're probably happy about that, given the amount of lands they have here, right? They're like, thank you. Jeez. Been drawing nothing but lands all game. So, they can use Polycranus to fight Luminarch here. They choose not to, though. It's a little curioso. We have to throw this on the Fearless, as vulnerable as that does make us. Because if we choose to throw it on the Luminarch and they have something, any form of removal whatsoever for the Luminarch, then they just instantly remove it. Correctamundo. So I don't know what they could actually have here for the Fearless. I feel like I'm missing one, right? Like, there's got to be a removal spell I'm forgetting. And they're just like, haha, I got you. Oh, that's pretty good. That's a nice. Erebos' intervention, picking them up to victory. Nobody ever uses that card. That's good, though. That's good. Rob 300? Or is it Raw B? Like Raw B 300? Not quite sure. Anyways, we'll keep this hand. We have access to black mana, we have access to white mana, we have the flip-floppy land, we have 1 mana plays, we have 2 mana plays. We got it all. Line up, folks. You tell me what you want. I'll tell you if we got it. I'll tell you if we got it. Sorry. It is 10:30 here, which may not seem late to a lot of people, but when you go to bed at 12, your brain is certainly winding down at 10:30, right? It's like, okay, Janice, just go ahead and clock out for the day. You're you're pretty much done. Now is the time when you should be, you know, laying in bed and all that. But alas, you gotta do the work that you gotta do, am I right? So we could go ahead and get down to Selfless, which preemptively gets us ready for the Luminarch and sort of protects our Thieves Guild and all that kind of stuff, which I'm not gonna lie, I like the idea of that. Also, it leaves us mana for the Village Rites, so if they go for the Selfless, then we can just Village Rites it and, you know, draw some cards. So all in all, I think we're doing good on our draws so far, and we have, you know, potentially 3 lands here, so that's good as well. Just the 7 dwarves, we're not worried about that. We're not going to do anything. We can actually Gabira's take down the dwarves if we want to. It would take all of our mana, but it would allow us to deal in 2 damage. We have these spicy Luminarch aspirants over here. Like, I almost just want to play this down as a land. Playing this down as a land, well, it does allow us to play Luminarchs and have mana for Village Rites, right? Alright, well, I'm definitely playing this down as a land. I think I've come to terms with that, and I think I'm playing down the Luminarch, right? It won't allow us to get through this, this 7 dwarves this turn, although we might could press it. Nah, we got so many Luminarchs coming down after this. Let's not. Let's just keep the 2/2 back. We attack them, they attack us. Yeah, it's little small games, little antics, if you will. Now they're playing Rakdos. Rakdos 7 dwarves. What's special about that? What angle are they working at? Generally, if I can get my words out, what you're looking for in your foe is you're looking to see what their pivot, their plays are, right? What their future endeavors will be, so to speak. Dwarves, they read not necessarily aggro, but kind of aggro. Yeah, just no. Generally in those situations, you should target the Selfless, just in case your foe makes a mistake. Now we'll get down the Luminarch here. Do I want to get down Mackendy? It does give us additional mana. But if we can get to that, you know, that 5... No, we have the Luminarchs actually. This is fine. We'll have the Luminarchs build up. You go to a 3/3. And now we could put you to a 2/2, but then that 7 dwarves can still defend. So I think it's better to just put you to a 4/4 and go all in. You know what I mean? So this should connect and take them down to 15, right? I'd say, because going down to 15 is not that scary. They still have 1 creature, and that 1 creature, if they can get down another, you know, certainly does put them down the path of being able to block Thieves Guild. Or if they put down 2 7 dwarves, you know, hey, they're almost there. So we'll see. There's 1. They may have another, in which case they have the 4/4. They don't, because it immediately goes to attack phase. You gotta pay attention to those small things in Magic. If it immediately kicks it to the attack phase, you can rest assured of a few things. 1, they don't have any other sorcery speed spells, right? 2, if they haven't played a land yet, they don't have a land in their hand, right? Because it'll always allow you to play a land, and it won't skip like that. And people say, well, Chance, what if they press the little button down there? I don't think we need more land. Thanks for the scryage, though. I am happy to see that. So you're already a 4/4. I think we just make one of these other Luminarchs a 4/4, right? And we get in for 8. Or force them to, you know, sack their 7 dwarfs. So they could have an instant speed spell here. I'm not saying they don't have instant speed spells. But generally, if it passes like that, they shouldn't. Unless... I can't think of anything in Rakdos that is, like, specifically... Okay, so another one. That's fine. They go up to 4/4s. We can still counteract this because we have 3 Luminarchs, right? So we go 5, 5, 5, 5. Now, they may double block. That would be bad. They're going to attack, which means they won't have any blockers. Alright, well, we'll take it. They didn't leave the mana for Embercleave, so we don't have to worry about that. Now, if they had left a red mana source up, which obviously they couldn't since they dropped the other 7 dwarf, but theoretically, you know, if one of those swamps had been red mana, then we might want to block it. But even if it was Embercleave, like that's a sinking ship for sure. Anyways, here, let's see, they have 1 defender. If they block that, that's 4, 5, 6. So I think we do this, do that. I'm gonna put one on you just for the gills, but I think we go all in here. Right? Isn't that 8 damage? Am I miscalculating somewhere? Fairly sure it's 8. Anyways, village rights that guy, girl, that aspirant, and then bam, lethal. That's only using 1/1s, ladies and gentlemen.